All right, question number 5. We have function notation. So we're given that f of x, so this first function, is equal to the square root of x plus 6. And we're given another function, g of x, and g of x is equal to x squared plus n, and we do not know what n is. And then we're given some more information. If f of g of 5, so we know that f, we take that function, we plug in the g function, but we plug in the number 5 for x. If we evaluate that, we get 8. Based on that information, can we figure out what is g of n? Okay, so let's talk about this notation. So previously we've discussed that if you saw this notation, just look at g in parentheses 5. That means that we want to take this g expression and we're going to plug a 5 for x. That's what that means. So we're going to do that. However, when we have another function attached to that, what that means is that inside the f equation, we're going to replace that with the whole g, and then in the g equation, everywhere we have an x, we're going to replace with 5. So we're going to do a double plug-in. So first, let me do f of g of x. I'm going to replace it with the x in there. So I'm going to do the same thing right now. So I'm taking this equation, which is the square root of x plus 6. Instead of x, I'm going to replace that with g of x equation. So that is the square root. Instead of x, I'm going to leave it blank. And then plus 6. In place of the x, we're going to replace the g of x equation, which is x squared plus n. So right here, we're going to replace that with x squared plus n. That's in the place of that square root of x. All right, so that is what that means. Now we're going to replace it with 5. So f of g of 5. Now we're going to do the square root of 5 squared plus n. And then we have this plus 6 out here. And we were told that that was equal to 8. All right, so from here, we're just going to solve this expression, and we will be able to figure out n. And once we figure out n, we can go back and plug that in and figure out g of n. So we have square root 5 squared is 25 plus n. And then we have this additional plus 6 equals 8. All right, we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. And then that brings down the square root of 25 plus n, all under that square root. And then that equals 2. And the way we get rid of a square root is we would have to square both sides. So we're going to square this side, and we're going to square the 2. Squaring a square root gets rid of it, so we have 25 plus n equals 4. All right, and then we would subtract 25 from both sides to solve for n. And upon that, we get the result that n would be equal to negative 21. Okay, so this is not our final answer. This just gets us there. What we're going to do with this n is we're going to go back up to the top. We're going to plug it in here, so we're going to have our g of x equation. And then we're going to plug in a negative 21 here for x and solve. So now that we have that, we can write g of x is equal to x squared minus 21, which I had plus n, but since n was a negative 21, we can write minus 21. So that's this equation, and now we're going to find g of n, okay, g of n, and n was down here. We found out it was negative 21. All right, so g of n, which is g of negative 21, equals, we're going to plug in a negative 21 for x, square that, and then subtract 21. So we're going to square 21, that gives us 441. We wrap this around here. So we get 441, and then we subtract 21, which that gives us 420. So let's verify that 21 squared, we are getting 441. Basic calculator, 21 times 21, and the negative times the negative will end up positive. Okay, so we get 420 when we evaluate those.